Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third-party pre-production sample review. Today's video, thanks to the guys at Robot Kingdom, I'm taking a look at Apollo. This is the Planet X interpretation of the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Ultra Magnus. I didn't get any instructions with this guy and it is pre-production. It is by no means final. Colors and resistances, etc. are all going to be improved for the final product. That is what I've been told. Take that as you please. Anything I couldn't find storage for was his gun. I'm not entirely sure where everything's meant to go, but I think it's all in place. Now, I have been told that we do get a white version of the PX Jupiter in there, so that is included with this set. And basically this is an armor add-on which converts our standard kind of white Ultra Magnus into the armored Ultra Magnus from the game. Personally, I'm okay with the armor upgrades. People like Fans Project, they've done armor upgrades for Magnuses in the past, so I can see why Perfect Effects have gone down this route, but at the same time I know there are people out there that really didn't want an armor upgrade. Instead they wanted a fully transformable Magnus done in this style without the need for any parts forming and without the need for that armor. Now, going straight in there with the scale comparisons, he's not a small vehicle by any means. We have an MP10 here, we have the Mass Toys Bumblebee, and we have the Planet X Skywarp. He is a big, chunky vehicle, and this is my personal favourite pairing. That's the Spark Toys War within Megatron, a big tank versus a big truck. Now, as far as vehicles go, it's not exactly spot on to the 3D game render. Basically, I think these were kind of on top. This was flipped around slightly, but they've done a pretty good job of keeping it kind of true, and you can tell it's Ultra Magnus. Even with no knowledge of the game, you can see by the colors that they've used and by the big rockets, it's definitely a Magnus. Not a huge fan of the gap that we've got here, and a small gap at the back there. Like I said, I may not have this set up completely right, didn't get any instructions, and I'm just going by some of the shots from TFCon and on the TFW forum, but I think that's a pretty nice looking truck. Nice big grille on there, these big cow catchers on the front, and it doesn't look untidy from the back either. Even for a test shot, he rolls exceptionally well. Kind of got that Transformers animated vibe to him, hasn't he? Right, now I'd love to tell you that there's no parts forming involved, but I'm not sure how you're meant to transform this without taking the armor off. So let's start by taking the armor off and we see where everything is placed. We have this head compartment which is tabbed in on the back. That's where we have the Magnus head sculpt. So Magnus looking very stern there with very vibrant blue eyes, gorgeous eyes. We have the crotch plate which pegs in on the underside of these. We can just untab that. As you can see, you've got the thruster sections underneath there. These can untab. These are the loosest part at the moment, but again, these have just been painted up. I believe this was the test shot that they had at, was it the Shanghai show? It's one of those. It's basically done the round and found its way over to me to take a look at. And so, like I said, nothing is final as of yet. These feet panels just tab in on top of here. As you can see, this is part of the hammer. We can just untab that, untab that. Hammer piece, again, we've got some very nice kind of metallic colouring on there. This piece here is tabbed in on the front, just untab from that front fender, and again from that front fender, and this all comes up Open that up, so we've got clear visibility, and this comes up. That it is a job to get that off. These just untab, and these two pieces can come apart. And with that armor shell removed, we can get to take a look at Magnus as a white warrior. That's actually a very nice colouring there. We've got the nice pearlescent green, very much kind of echoed in the Combiner Wars Magnus, those sorts of colouring. And we've got the Energon style wheels there with the translucent blue behind. It's a nice, very good vehicle mode. Right, now to get this guy transformed up, first port of action is to just untab these top pegs, untab these thrusters from the back. I took everybody's advice. They said, Ben, you need to go out and get Jupiter. He's a very good interpretation of Optimus Prime. So I had some store credits left with Robot Kingdom, and I ordered Jupiter as well. Not gonna lie, one of my favourite Optimus Prime figures. Yes, you undo those front canopy sections. These are just pegged in on either side. Loosen those up, extend the legs out fully, open up the front of the leg so we can see what we're doing, and for now we can just rotate that round. That's going to tab back in here. And what we need to do, we need to bring this foot all the way around, and as we bring that around, this one threads through, and that goes all the way through out to the other side, and then comes up, and then that's just going to push and tab in at the back. This can then be brought back down to the base, and then bring this in, close that off. And if we look on the underside of that knee, there's this tab. Bring this in, that sits like so. Bend the knee, bring that back over, and just push and tab that in securely. Rotate the waist segment around, and that is going to come in and collapse back on itself, and just push. Come around to the top, open up this piece, pull that backwards, and we now have access to the standard Magnus head. Bring that up, and we can give that a little spin. This piece can then come back and just tabs in to the back like so. Thrusters then collapse on themselves. Now these arms come out of the way. These wheel pieces come up and under, and as you can see, they're going to tab in to this hole here, and there's a small circular tab there. That's going to tab in to the side of these rear wheel thrusters, and that holds all of this back tab piece into position. These can come up, and then we just need to sort out these arms. Untab, extend, flip the fists out, bring this arm down to the side, and then this rotates around to the side of those shoulders, and that's a nice look for Magnus. Just need to flip these wheel guard pieces down and make sure that the wheels are fully rocked back so that they sit low, about level with those knees. Then bring in his gun. I believe it's a small handle for this mode, big handle for big Magnus mode. So we can just pop the gun in his hand. And there you go, there he is as his white Prime. That's a nice colour scheme they've gone for. They didn't have to do that, you know. I suppose they could have released this as an add-on kit just for their Jupiter, but I like how he looks. He's different enough, I think, to Prime to justify them doing it. If we just bring in Prime, We can just class them as brothers from other mothers, I guess, can't we? As you see, we don't have the thruster kind of jets on the shoulders of Magnus. They've been removed because obviously we use that same joint when we attach the armor. Articulation is exactly the same, and again we have a hole in the sculpted crotch piece here where we put the new additional crotch. It's very small modifications just to make the armor work, but all in all it's a very slender figure. Planet X done a very good job when they did this. It is leaps and bounds ahead of that original Hasbro release. And here they are alongside the test shot of Planet X Megatron. He's still taller than them. Wow, at the moment he is anyway. Right, to get him armored up, let's just flip down those fists and tab those in. Now the arms are like this when we get them off the truck. I'm wondering if we could have kept those on. Obviously I wanted to show you Magnus anyway, but untab this, and if we look here, we've got this tab piece that flips down on this triple hinge. It needs to go on to here. It's not the easiest piece to get on, so I am glad in some ways that I took it off, and it then just collapses down nicely onto that arm, and these push and tab in. This piece fold out, and there's a hole on the back side there. That's just going to correspond with the hole on Magnus's arm, and that's tabbed in nicely. There he is with big gorilla fists. This crotch piece is pretty self-explanatory, just pegs in over the existing piece. I come to Magnus's feet. I want to open up this hatch, untab this back panel, and this needs to go back through as if we were transforming everything up for vehicle mode. Again, just bring that all the way through and then up and all the way over so it tabs in on the base. We can then push this piece back on. Come to the Magnus chest, untab this foot peg. The parts that formed the front of the truck are now going to fold in, collapse inwards, and this piece here folds up and over, and there's a small tab just on the inside that's just going to peg in nicely, and then there's a tab here that's just going to come untabbed, which allows this to now completely compress. This joins to this nice and firmly, and bring in the foot, and that's just going to peg in to those holes, and tab the kneecap pieces in, untab this back panel piece so we can just tuck the Magnus head back down. You can close all of this piece back off again, tabbing everything back in where it needs to go. Then we can bring in the new Magnus head. This tab slots in to the neck piece, and if you look, there's these circular pieces under each of the armpit tabs, and this is just going to slide up and over. And the head just tabs in. Now, for a kit that wasn't overly that complex to put on, it does make the world a difference. And my goodness, upgrade kits have come on leaps and bounds since when I first started collecting. This feels incredibly well made, very professional, easily comparable to the likes of the Diaclone kits, for example, that we're getting from Takara at the moment. It's made of a very professional plastic consistency. I actually think the kit feels nicer than what we actually get with the Planet X figures. It's actually a different plastic, much more it's much more professional in my opinion. As previously mentioned, the face sculpt is nigh on perfect, very nice indeed. Lots of range of motion on there as well, as the ability to look up and down. Not sure what we're meant to do with these back pillars, but the arms can come out to the side. Not a great range there, but enough. We can go left and right. The shoulder pads do work independently as well, so they can be moved as we position the arms. If I just remove his gun, bend the elbow, we have upper bicep rotation, the wrists can rotate, we have pinned fingers with 4 individual movements, and we have a ball mounted thumb. Coming down to the waist, we have waist rotation, no real abdominal crunch there. Legs can come this far forward, no hindrance there, this far back, again nothing in the way. Come out to the side, a little bit of resistance when we bring them out to the side. Friction bend on the knee. Coming down to those newly established feet, we can pivot to the side and we can go forwards and backwards on the toe, but we don't get any left and right motion. So he's a very good looking character. He's very true to his game counterpart. The only downside from what I can see is that the shoulder's a little bit hindering, and his hammer just comes across as being too small. Now if we go to our box of weapons that we got with Prime, personally I would detach this, shove the hammer in as a connection there, and have a much longer hammer. That would be my personal preference, but each to their own. You can even have it as like a block, but each to their own. That would be my personal preference, but I know not everybody likes the difference in colour, and obviously it's not game accurate like that, but that is how I will be displaying mine. I think we don't get one of these with Magnus from what I understand, but we do get the hammer, and I don't know if there's anywhere to store his weapons as well. I would like a kind of a weapon storage system just on the back here, somewhere we can peg in these guns just to hold it out of the way, and likewise with the hammer, just somewhere these can be stored in robot mode, so he doesn't have to be constantly holding them. So let me know your thoughts on Ultra Magnus in the comments section below. Are you one of these people that don't like the ability to chop and change the armor? Would you have liked this to all have been one figure? Or are you in the camp with me and you're just happy to have a Fall of Cybertron Magnus in your collection? I do like how he looks. Yes, there is some hindrance on those shoulders, and this is still a pre-production, so the resiliences and some of the items, like maybe the hammer, maybe they will lengthen that, I don't know. This does seem pretty far on in production standards. The joints are nice and tight. I can't see them changing much on this piece, but never say never. Once again, I'd like to thank Robot Kingdom for making this review possible. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up, share, and of course subscribe. I have included a link to the Planet X playlist just up here. And until next time, from myself and Apollo, thanks for watching. Goodbye.